And I have asked my friend Laura Finch, who is also a counselor, to come and speak to a few minutes about what we're seeing in our office, how we can give some coping strategies to our clients. So Laura, will you introduce yourself?
Sure. Sarah, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate this opportunity to get the word out there. Like Sarah said, my name's Laura Finch. I am also a licensed professional counselor here in Birmingham, and I am in private practice now. I've worked, different settings throughout the years. I've been a counselor for 20 years. I don't want to say that out loud. That makes me sound old, but I am. So I have been.
Experienced.
There you go. Very, very interesting. Yes, absolutely.
So for 20 years, you've been doing this.
Yeah.
You don't look like you've been doing it for 20 years.
I mean, thank you, but I have been. I feel like I've been doing this for 20 years.
I'm sure there are days. Okay, which I think let's do the first point is that with COVID, we are not immune to fear. We are not immune to stress and anxiety, and we have to work these things just as much as we're talking to clients. I often say, look, there's 3 fingers pointing back at me as I'm telling you guys to do this. We have to work our programs as well. So I think that's a really important thing. I want to talk just briefly about grief and the grief that so many of, I think, people are feeling now, the grief of the normal. Will we ever see normal again? And gosh, we're not grieving a death, but what are we grieving? So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, what happens with grief is it always means there's been a loss, and what we've all lost is so many things. We've lost our normal, we've lost a lot of our freedoms. We've lost our safety and security in certain areas. And I think I've seen a couple of articles on the internet. I know David Kessler wrote one, I believe, and he's one of the leading grief experts in the country, but said that we all have this feeling and none of us know what it is. And he put a finger on it, that's what it is grief.
Yeah. Yeah. He did a great podcast with Brene Brown on the Unlocking podcast that she's doing now. It was fantastic. But I think what he does in that podcast is gives us permission to name it. He even said, if you can't name it, you can't grieve it. So, I've been talking to my daughter who's a senior in high school, and there's a lot of grief around, gosh, we're just not going to have the same senior year that we thought we are. Or there's just so many different facets of, I was looking forward to doing things that I'm not going to be able to do because I can't travel to get to the places to do them.
Sure. And grief manifests itself in so many different ways for everybody. I know with kids, a lot of times grief can look like anger. Mm-hmm. Grief can look like acting out. Grief, kids don't have the words, they don't have the vocabulary to say, they don't know that, well, I've lost my prom, I've lost graduation, I've lost senior skip day, whatever it so may be. They're not thinking that big into it. They just know, God, this is weird. This stinks. This isn't what I wanted. This isn't something I chose. And it's such a huge loss of control, really, for everybody.
I know. And I don't know if you're getting this at home, but I'm often getting, when are we going to go back to normal? When are we going to go back to normal? And I have no answers. I don't know.
And it's such a unique situation. I know things have been compared to, what it was like during World War II, what it was like after 9/11, what it was like after a hurricane or one of these big tornadoes that have gone through. But what's so unique about this is we don't have an end date. It's not stopping. Like the tornado comes and blows on away and leaves a mess, but the trauma, the danger is over. Same is true with, wartime hurricanes, all that kind of stuff. But with this, we don't know when this is going to end, and we don't know what the repercussions of it are going to look like. And I think that's scary for a lot of people, especially small businesses, the restaurant industry. So many people are affected by this.
And I think there was a part of us, I remember having the thought, well, it's only for 2 weeks. It's not a big deal. It's just for 2 weeks. And then
it'll be kind of fun,
Yeah, it keeps changing. It's so fluid that we constantly have to keep adapting our expectations to the point where we're like, I guess we need to keep our expectations real low because we just don't know.
Right.
Yeah. So we're each going to give 3 tips, real simple things that we can fall back on during this time. And my first one is just when you are stuck in just feelings of anxiety, feelings of anger, feelings of unmet expectations like resentment, to just do the next right thing. So I think as a mom, I often will struggle with looking out to the future and seeing, well, what's going to happen about this? And then I get kind of shut down and I get overwhelmed. I notice that a lot with my clients. That once they get overwhelmed, they shut down. I resonate with that as well. And I think one thing that can really help is let's just do the next right thing. The next right thing may be to cook dinner, to go for a quick walk, to go pet my dog, to empty the dishwasher. I mean, doing the next right thing can sometimes ground us to reminding us, okay, we have no control of the outside. We have control of some of the things on the inside, and just paying attention to what's the next right thing for me.
Sure.
The next one would be one day at a time. Again, it goes back to that whole future thing of, how long is this going to last? Are we going to have a summer? Are we going to have college football? What is it going to look like when we want to shake hands or give each other hugs? What's going to the restaurant going to look like now? And so just saying, you know what, I can only do one day at a time. I don't know what it's going to look like, but I'm going to do today and plant my feet here. I love the analogy that if you're standing in murky water and you're moving your feet up and down, nothing clears. But if you stand still, the water clears and you can see your feet. And sometimes just taking that one day at a time and standing still can give you clarity about what you need to do next. Okay, I'm going to keep my last one because now I feel like I've talked. I want to hear your 2.
Okay. I would say anxiety is going through the roof for a lot of people because of what's going on. And I think grounding exercises can be so helpful for that. And that can be something as simple as breathing exercises, doing a body scan, putting your feet down on the floor and really feeling the safety of the ground. I could talk for hours about this. I know we're short on time, but if you don't know what any of those are, just Google it. Grounding exercises.
A body scan's not an MRI. What do you mean by a body scan?
It can be.
I was like,
there are lots of different ways to do a body scan, but when I'm using that term, I mean just start at the top of your head and go all the way down and just stop and look at what you're feeling. Is my brow furrowed? Are my eyes squinting? Is my jaw clenched? And just try to go through and relax each one of those. Are my shoulders up at my ears? Do I just need to drop my shoulders and breathe? What's going on with my arms? What's going on in my stomach, my hips, my legs, my feet? And just going all the way through and just having awareness of where you're holding tension, and that can help release that as you go through. So grounding exercises, self-care is so important during this time. And y'all, self-care does not have to be going to a spa for a week and spending a gazillion dollars. It is as simple as eating, sleeping, physical activity, and connecting with other human beings. And I always add the 5th one, that neuroscience research is really supporting the difference this one makes. And that's the active practice of gratitude every day, finding things that we're thankful for. Little things can make such a difference when we say them out loud, when we write them down. I mean, we are all safe in our homes. We all have electricity. I mean, my God, we have the internet, Right now we all have food to eat, so many things. And it really is, it can be a really special time for families right now. And that can be a gift to a lot of people. So, our perspective, we have control over, and we can change that if we don't like it. So it's just little things to keep in mind.
I think that's great, to remind ourselves that we have control over our perspective.
Yes.
And just to end, because I know we both have to go. But just to end with, it is remarkable about the research out there that we often see as mental health professionals on your breath and the practice of gratitude. Those are the two things that keeps coming back time and time again of if you can focus on those two things, you can really help your anxiety. So I so appreciate your time, Laura.
Well, Sarah, thank you. This is great. This is great. And everybody reach out. Counselors are still working hard. Both Sarah and I have to go because we have clients this afternoon. But we're both seeing clients virtually, online, over the telephone. There is so much help out there. So reach out if you need some assistance during this time.
Yeah, that's a great way to end. Thanks, Laura.
Sarah, thank you. Take care.
You too.